I'd be a little bit nervous about with using the full self-driving, but we're going to see how it does today. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me here today. Now today we're going to talk about FSD, or full self-driving. That's a topic I've largely ignored up to this point, and you may be wondering why I haven't talked about it, and the truth is I've tried it a few times in the past, just didn't really care for it, and there are so many other things about the car that I like that I've decided to focus on those items and leave the FSD to all the other guys out there. However, there have been a number of software updates recently, and I'm on version 12.5.6.3, I believe. And having received 2 or 3 updates over the past couple of months, I finally decided I should take it out and see what's changed. Is it better than it used to be? Today, in this video, what we're going to do is I'm going to take you to the car. We're going to walk through the setup, the settings that I've chosen, and then we're going to take about a 40-mile trip from here to another city. So we're going to experience on-ramps where it has to merge into traffic, situations where the traffic in front of us is going slower than the car, so it moves over, changes lanes by itself, and we're going to experience situations where it's time to take an exit ramp, and we're going to see how the car does. So stick around, you don't want to miss this. Let's get started. So before we take off, let's look at our setup here. We're going to go into the car. We're going to go into autopilot, and up here's our full self-driving options. So first, we're going to turn on our full self-driving supervised. Next, and this is new, you've got different driver profiles you can set. So if I set this on chill, that drives in slower lanes with minimal lane changes. Standard drives at normal speeds and adjusts with the traffic, and hurry drives faster and does more frequent lane changes. I'm going to stick with standard. The other option is down here for the max speed offset. Now the neat thing about this is this full self-driving allows you to drive above the speed limit or whatever the predicted road speed is to match the flow of traffic. So I currently have mine set at 40%, meaning I can exceed the speed limit by 40% to keep up with the traffic. And that's really all there is to setting up the full self-driving. Let's go for a ride. So the only thing that makes me nervous about what's going on right now is we are running 50 in a 45, and ordinarily that wouldn't be an issue, but on this particular street, the police sit out here quite a lot, and the police in this city are the ones that'll give you a ticket for 5 over, so I do have to watch that. But that does have to do with the settings that I placed when I turned this on earlier. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how it does. And a beautiful sunset coming up over there. And hopefully that doesn't mess up the picture, but it is quite pretty behind the trees. The plan today is if the daylight holds out long enough to go all the way to Wentzville. It's about 25 or 30 miles from here, and the reason I want to go that direction is It includes a couple of on and off ramps where you have to merge with traffic, and it also includes at least 1 or 2 roundabouts, which I don't personally like to do even when I'm driving, but it's a good test for the car to see how well it'll do with the full self-driving. Faust Park right over there. Unfortunately, I think this camera up here won't capture all of the graphics that show over here behind the steering wheel, but they are pretty impressive and capture just an amazing amount of detail. Today was a beautiful day, by the way, 63 degrees and really nice out. The only downside going into the wintertime is how quickly it gets dark. As you can see, it's 4:33 right now, and the sun's already pretty much setting behind the clouds over there. Feel how smoothly that stopped? No racing up to the stoplight and then slamming on the brakes. That's the way the full self-driving used to function. This was just so much smoother. Oh, there goes a Rivian. Definitely becoming more popular around this particular area. Just as smooth as it can be. And yep, this is perfect because we're getting ready to merge onto Highway 6440 over here. And no hesitation for changing lanes. Now there is an area over here where we have to merge onto the highway, and it's a relatively short area, and this is a busy highway. So this is one area that ordinarily I'd be a little bit nervous about with using the full self-driving, but we're going to see how it does today. Notice the arrows on the ground out here telling us this lane is ending, so moving pretty smoothly right into the single lane. Then up here we have our choice of taking the exit here or taking the entrance to Highway 6440. Car's doing it just fine. This is the area where we have to merge with traffic, which I'd say ordinarily it'd make me a little nervous. We look good up here though, and car's maintaining a good speed. It's already at 60. 62, no issues whatsoever. Oh, I see a cyber truck charging right over there. Speed limit 60 here, currently running 65. Have the offset set at 40%, meaning that the car will follow the flow of traffic at speeds up to 40% above what the posted speed limit is. So it's enough to keep you with the flow of traffic without getting you in big trouble. This place right over here, the district, is relatively new and just jam-packed all the time. Decided that we were getting close enough with the vehicle in front of us and that it went ahead and moved over to the middle lane. Now I used this feature yesterday, and one thing I noticed when the car moves to the left-hand lane over here, the passing lane, in the past, one of the things that I haven't liked about the full self-driving, and I think I mentioned this, is that it would move to the passing lane and then just sit over there running about the speed limit. And, you know, that gets the folks in traffic pretty upset. People tend to run right up on your bumper then and just sit there waiting for you to move back over, and the car would just stay in that lane. So yesterday when we took this out and ran the full self-driving on it, the one thing that I noticed is it would move to the passing lane to go around the traffic, and then as soon as someone would come up behind you, the car would sense that and it would move back over to the middle lane so that people could go ahead and pass, and then it would stay in the proper lane. Right, so we're now running 70 and a 60. I may have to turn that down just a little bit. But this is typically what traffic is like here. This is a highway with a relatively low speed limit on it. And during the day, if you're trying to run the speed limit of 60 on this road, you're either blocking traffic up or you'll just get ran over. See, there's a policeman right over there. Fortunately, he's over there and I'm over here. And the goal is to run this end to end. I turned this on not that far of a distance away from my house, and the goal is to run this all the way to the business we're going to, which is the antique barn, if we can get there before it gets dark. It's starting to get dark pretty quick, and frankly, if it gets dark enough where the picture isn't that great, we'll go ahead and shut it down and call it good. But the goal is to run from here all the way to the store parking lot. This bridge is one of my favorite things about this particular area. Still running 73 and a 60, and got some pretty good curves here. Car just dropped to 72, so it's back to adjusting with the traffic that we have over here. By the way, the advancement in this technology, just in the few years that I've owned Teslas, bought my first one in 2021, and this is my second one, which is a 2024. But the technology improvement in how this full self-driving performs from 21 to current day is just night and day. And frankly, the improvement has really occurred mostly over this last 6 months to a year. So one other thing that Tesla's done with some of the more recent updates has to do with the need to touch the steering wheel every so many seconds when you're using the full self-driving. And now the focus is on this little camera right up here. It watches your eyes, and as long as you're paying attention to the road in front of you, you're not required to touch a steering wheel. So it's much more autonomous than it used to be, because it used to be every so often you have to reach up and apply some pressure to the steering wheel to let the car know you were paying attention. Now I'm going to try to show this video mostly unedited, just to show that we can make it from point A all the way to point B. But of course, during the editing, I am going to cut out some of the long stretches of highway once we get on Highway 70, which is coming up, because some of it's going to be just basic driving on the highway. So I'll edit out some of the long stretches, the boring parts, and focus more on the areas where the car is merging onto the road, or it's taking an exit, and maybe going back through the city streets again. So I want to show you is the most interesting and complex part. Leave in the parts, however, if the car decides to move over to the next lane to pass the vehicle in front of us. I believe we have a Tesla Model S here in front of us, and if I'm seeing things correctly, it's a little far away still. It looks like it has the plaid badge on it. Oh, here we go, we're passing it. Model X long range passing and Model S plaid. Unbelievable. Yep, it's definitely a plaid. And I love the new red color. It's a deeper color than the old red, and much more attractive in my opinion. So right now we're running 74, 73, speed limit 65. So it's keeping us 8 or 9 miles over the speed limit. Now see, this is what I was talking about before. I've got a car coming up behind me. You can see, well, you can't see there. I've got a car coming up behind me, and rather than park in the passing lane, the the full self-driving moved us back over to the right lane. And I bring that up because we will have to eventually move back over to here to this lane. And actually, it's in 6 miles. Our exit's on the left-hand side of the street. So, but look at how fluidly. There we go again. Look at how fluidly this moves over and does lane changes. It's just perfect. So there's nobody directly behind me right now. Let's see if the car moves us back over, or it leaves us in this. Yeah, there we go. It's perfect. Just enough space behind us that it's not crowding the driver behind us, and it moved us right back over. All right, so I guess the Plaid decided they didn't want us to be in front of them. So now they're coming up beside me here on the left. Oh, there's a white Model Y right behind the Plaid. White Model Y. That's a long range. But the car is pretty polite. We had a situation yesterday where there's folks merging, and the blinker came on, the car moved right over to the left-hand lane to allow them to merge, and then came back over. Now we got 1.7 miles, and we'll be taking exit 1A on the left, getting on Highway 70. I wish I'd had another camera mounted like right over here so you could see the graphics up here in front of us. Alright, so we got a car merging here. Let's see what happens. Because we also have cars coming up on our left over here. Alright, we slowed down to 62 to allow that car to merge in with us. Really, that was just perfect. Now our exit's getting really close up here, and I'm hoping the car moves over pretty soon because we do have other traffic beside us here. This is the part where I'm hoping it doesn't. Yeah, perfect. Got just under a half mile left, and right, so this is a relatively sharp curve here where the speed limit drops quite a bit. So let's see how we handle this. Dropping rapidly, 56, 53, 52, 50. Alright, then once we get out here, Highway 70 can be pretty busy as well. We'll have to merge from the exit onto Highway 70. Feeling pretty confident this is going to be a non-issue. It just doesn't get much better than that. If I'm being honest, the car drives better than I do. I have a tendency to hug the line on the inside or the outside here, and I mean we're dead center. The merging is seamless. There's no like fast acceleration or hesitation where you see the wheel going back and forth. I mean it's just smooth as butter. It's almost ridiculous how much better this has gotten in the last 2 updates. And from my understanding, there's a new version that's coming out that's going to be even better than this. So we got a fairly narrow set of lanes here and some pretty good curves. But, I mean, the car is just doing amazingly well right here. if you can end a trip in the middle of this while it's still driving, if the full self-driving will stay engaged, and maybe you can end the trip and start a new trip with a new address. I may try that at some point. I don't know if I'm going to try it on this trip or not, because I've got us locked in, and I'm not sure if I remember what the address is for the other place in Wentzville, which is a little bit closer, but that's something I may have to try maybe on the next video. Now we've got some traffic congestion up here, and we've dropped from whatever we were running, 71 down to 60. Speed limit is 65. But aside from that, I mean, no issues whatsoever riding in the heavier traffic. A car, you probably can't see it in the camera. There's a car running right next to us. You can see it going up here in front of us now. But cars in front, behind, and beside. So speed limit's 70 right now, and we are currently running 77. And truck in front of us was going a little bit slower than that, so the car decided to pass, get us back up to traffic. But again, just a seamless experience there. Went around the vehicle and threw us right back into traffic, and then came right back out of the passing lane. I mentioned that I've used this function a few times before on earlier software iterations, and I can tell you that it was absolutely nothing like this. In the past, you'd be driving down the highway for absolutely no reason whatsoever, put the blinker on and move you over into the passing lane, and then magically, as soon as you move to the passing lane, somebody races up behind you that wasn't there a minute ago. And they're riding your tail because, well, you're in a passing lane and you're not passing anybody. And they want to go faster. And I never could quite understand that. Happened a number of times where there's nobody in front of me, there's no need to pass, and it would move to the left lane, the passing lane. So there were a couple times on some real long trips we made, going from here to Colorado and various other places, where it would randomly just move into the left lane and then just stay there. There's been absolutely none of that this trip, and there was none of that yesterday when we used it either. So whatever that bug was, that's been resolved. Now again, you can't see this, but at least I don't think you can. I'm going to go ahead and point it out just in case. But on my dash up here, right above the speed limit, showing me 65 right now, it shows standard. And what that means is that's the setting I put for the full self-driving, because you basically have chill, which means it won't change lanes very often. It'll essentially pick a lane and just stay in it. Doesn't mean it won't change lanes, but it means it's not going to do a lot of passing. It'll pretty much just stay in the slower lane. You also have standard, which is your next step up, which is what I have this in. And then you have a new feature called Hurry. And that particular one, I believe, drives you closer to the vehicle in front of you, is more apt to go around vehicles, and is probably pushing the upper limits of what the speed limits and whatnot are when you're driving down the road. So we really are losing daylight pretty quick. All right, we've got 3.8 miles till our next exit 193. Must have been the cue for the car to move over and go around this big box truck we have here. So I did have a car behind me, but I've got obviously one in front of me here too, and we're coming right up on this Jeep to the right, so intuitively the car just stayed in the left-hand lane and continued to move forward. Alright, what's happening here? This is the first time I've seen it where we're not actually passing anybody and it's staying in the left-hand lane. And it just could be that there's no vehicle right behind us, so it doesn't see a need to get over since we're slowly overtaking the trailer up here. Unless we seem like we are. All right, here we go. That's good because we have an exit coming up. In 0.7 miles, exit 193. I guess the other good thing is taking this as we slowly move into evening, is you get an idea of whether or not this works in low light or evening conditions. Seems to be great so far. All right, here we go. Looks like we're going to go up here, make a left, and then there'll be another left. Now, I don't know. I'm hoping this camera up here is capturing everything that's going on in the car, since I'm not positive how great the low light conditions are for the GoPro. Fingers crossed, though, that it turns out good. Now, we've got one light to go, and then up here at this light, we got to make a left. So let's see if the car can get us over in time to make that next left. If we don't get over pretty soon, we're going to have to go past that. Look at that. That was cutting it a little closer than I liked. Sometimes it's tough when the traffic's pretty congested like that, but that was definitely a little closer than I was enjoying. I don't know if you could see it up here in the screen or not, but the side of it over here turned red, and that's just to let us know that there's a vehicle there, and we're a little close. All right, so how we doing? Oh, look at that. That is perfect. Yellow lines there, stayed right to the right of it. 0.4 miles is our road. I don't know what the name of it is because it says unnamed, and then the antique barn. Now, something interesting, yesterday when we were using this, once we pulled into the parking lot, the car drove over, and it hesitated a little bit because it'll ask you if you know what parking spot you want to go to, and yesterday I didn't choose one. So yesterday the car chose a parking spot for me and pulled into it. Now, from my understanding, the full self-driving like this does not yet allow the car to do reverse, only to drive forward once it's driving forward. So yesterday, and this parking lot here is not a good choice either, because it doesn't really, it's not a painted parking lot, so the parking spots aren't going to be, I may have to take over here, the parking spots aren't going to be well defined in here at all. So I don't really know what the car is going to do in here, because okay. All right, we're going to stop it right here. This isn't necessarily a fair assessment. However, I mean, this is one of the things that, when you have the robo-taxis, you will have to deal with this sort of thing, right? This is a gravel parking lot. Doesn't have any parking spots painted on it. It does have a couple of the parking, the concrete pieces going across there, but they're not well defined at all. So I think that was a little confusing for the car tonight to know which, where to go to park. So it was just going to take me down along the gravel beside the building there. But all in all, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. Took me end to end, point to point, 30 miles, 35 miles, something like that. Actually, let's see here. Let's look at that trip. 42 miles. So we went a total distance of 42 miles. And as you can see, I never stopped it. I turned it on back before we left Chesterfield, and I didn't disengage. I didn't touch blinkers. I didn't touch the accelerator. It was completely hands-free for the entire 42 miles. So I don't know how much better full self-driving can get, but today it was completely seamless, and I have to say the technology is amazing. It is something that I'll now use from time to time. Before, I think I felt it was a little bit gimmicky, but frankly, I mean, it's just excellent. So we made it back safely. Hope you enjoyed the video. Interested in what your comments are. Have you tried full self-driving? If so, how's it worked for you? What did you think about the functions of the car today, the lane changes, how it handled merging into the traffic? What's the possibility of the robotaxi? Lots of discussion about that recently. Do you think it's a thing? Is it going to happen? I don't know. I just know the car did really well today when we took it on our drive. So I'm excited to see what the next version 13, has to offer. It's supposed to be a massive update and supposed to have huge improvements. So we've heard lots of promises in the past, and it's still not perfect, but I can tell you it's a long way. It's come a long ways from where it started. If you enjoyed the video today, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, drop me a comment. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.